Namaste, everyone. Welcome to my online yoga studio, Angela Compton Yoga, or ACY Online Yoga Studio. So our focus today is going to be on balance. And not just balance literally within the postures, although we will do some of that, but just balance in our lives. So balancing the work, the rest, and the play. And yes, the work sometimes can be uncomfortable, but we just use that tool of our breath to help us, lean into that discomfort a bit. And the surrender at the end of that work is just sweeter and deeper. So let's make that our focus today, balancing. So we're going to get started today in child's pose, but if you want to lie on your back and hug your knees in first and take a long body stretch, a spinal twist, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable in child's pose for several breaths. And when you finally get there, just going to spread the knees wide, setting the hips back to the heels, and just a gentle reaching out of the arms ahead of you and the forehead down. You can just begin to check in with you, with how you're feeling, mentally, physically, emotionally. Noticing the natural rhythm of your breath and what that feels like and what it sounds like. So using our senses to begin to dial inward. Noticing where our body touches the mat. So letting everything be natural and organic to start our practice today. Finding that balance. And slowly begin to make the inhales a little bit longer and the exhales slower, deeper. Expanding the rib cage on the inhales, feeling that through the back side body. And the exhales, allowing the heart to sink deeper toward the mat. So in our postures, the inhales help us to extend, and the exhales help us to sink into it a little bit deeper. Again, finding that balance. So let's begin to walk the hands over to the right side, about a diagonal from the body. Slipping the hips energetically, if not physically, toward that left heel and feeling that side stretch through the left side of the body. Just breathe into it. Allow the breath and gravity to assist in the stretch. And coming back through the center, taking the arms over to the left. And then tilting the hips toward the right heel. Just allowing the head to rest on that right arm, or it can be on the mat. Your practice will be individual to you. And then coming back through center, coming to hands and knees, taking a little shoulder stretch. Inhale, wave the right arm up, gazing at the fingertips. Then exhale, take it through, thread it through, bring the right ear to the mat. You can wrap the left arm around the lower back. You can also take the left foot out onto the floor. And the idea is to, press into that right shoulder just a bit. And I find if I take my left foot out, it allows me to do that. Gives me a little bit of lift, allowing me to go a little bit deeper into that shoulder stretch. Then bring the left hand down if it was in the bind. Bring the left foot in, it was out. Inhale, raise the right arm up, gazing up. Exhale, planting the hands, switching sides. Nice deep inhale and exhale, threading it through, left ear to the mat. Taking that right foot out if you like. If you did so on the other side, wrapping it around the lower back. If you did so on the other side with the right hand wrapped around the lower back. And begin to notice, differences between the two sides. Like on this side, my neck is tighter. I can feel a little bit more into my back. So just, dial into all of those sensations, but without judgment. And bringing the right hand back to the mat. Bringing that right foot back in. Inhale, wave it up. Gaze up toward the fingertips. And back down. Taking a few rounds of cat-cow. So the idea with our warm-ups is try to move the spine in all different directions. Inhale, gazing out, letting the belly just drop down. Exhale, we press the mat away with the palms, chin to chest, belly to spine. Doing our best to keep the lips sealed throughout the entire practice. And beginning to build a little deeper breath here called Ujjayi Pranayama. The lips are sealed and we slightly contract the back of the throat to make sort of a tunnel sound, an oceanic sound. It's described in many ways. So taking a few more rounds of your cat-cow. Rhythm of your breath. And also press the hips out to the right. Press them out to the left. It's called wagging the dog. It feels good for me. You can take circles. One direction and the other, the hips. Then eventually making your way to downward facing dog, tucking the toes and lifting the hips up high. Our first downward facing dog. Pedaling it out, pressing the heels toward the mat. Slight bend of the knees, lower belly in and up, gazing through the legs or toward the navel. Imagine sending those hips up really high to the sky. It's taking a moment to feel our downward facing dog. You can also take a dip with the knees and heels to the right if that feels good, and then to the left. And then eventually we're going to come to the tippy toes and either walk or hop up to a yogi squat, the top of our mat. Close the eyes. This first time here, we'll pause for a couple of breaths. This is part of our warm-up series though. And then folding it in half, toe, heel it in. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale, folding. Inhale, pressing the mat away as we rise up. And we're going to take a side bend to the right. So you can point your fingers together. One hand tracking down the leg, wrapping around, many options. Press that left hip out. Inhale through center, exhale to the left. Pressing the right hip out. To the center we go, a slight back bend as we gaze up. And it can be swan diving it down, our hands to the heart center. Folding in half. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale, we're going to plant the feet to the back of the mat. Find a plank position. And either come down to the knees, the chest, the chin, or take a Chaturanga Dandasana, lowering halfway down, elbows in. Tops of the feet, upward facing dog. That's on an inhale. Tucking the toes, downward facing dog. Need a few cycles of breath here. You're going to take the right knee without lifting it to the left tricep. Downward facing dog. Left knee to the right tricep. So cross tapping. Downward facing dog. Inhale to the tippy toes. Exhale, either hop it or step it. Yogi squat. Folding in half, toe heel it together. Inhale, halfway lifting. Exhale, we fold. Press it away as you root down to rise up, taking your side bend to the right. And then it just becomes a dance. Side bend to the left. Nice big inhale before we fold it back in. That half lift, gazing out, stepping back. Lower down through your vinyasa flow, high to low. And the knees, chest, chin to the cobra or up dog. That's on an inhale. Tucking the toes, downward facing dog. Now this is Sun A, Surya Namaskar A with a variation. Hear your breath. Taking our cross taps, right to left, left to right, not rushing it though. To the tippy toes, find your yogi squat. Top of your mat, tuck the tailbone, lift through the crown of the head. Fold it in half, toe heel it in. Inhale, half lifting, gazing out. Exhale, take it back down to the fold. Press away, rise up. Let's take an awkward spin this time. Right arm back, left forward, gaze back. Inhale to the center. Exhale, awkward twist in the left. We're keeping the hips facing forward, gazing back. Inhale through the center this time. I'm going to take a swan dive. Inhale to lift. Exhale to plant the hands. And take your vinyasa flow. That's 3 postures. Now pausing in a child's pose if you need to. Before we move on to a second flow. A little longer. Couple of challenging balancing postures in this next flow. And be okay with being wobbly in them, falling out of them, getting back into it, not giving up, just being patient with yourself. And again, using the breath and using the bandhas, the pelvic floor, lifting it, the lower belly, lifting in and up. Those tend to help quite a bit along with the breath and the balancing postures. So finding our way back to downward facing dog. Inhale, the right leg is going to lift up. Tap it to the right elbow this time. We cross tapped earlier, now right elbow only. Right to right. Send it up. Bring it through. Plant and pivot the back foot down. Inhale, rising up, warrior one. Breathe into it, hips square. Gazing up, shoulders down. And bring the hands in front of the heart. And taking a side lunge, Skandasana, to the back. Left knee bends. Heel of the right foot, the fingertips can be on the mat. Circle it all the way around to the top of your mat and find dragonfly twist. So it's a low lunge with a twist. Right arm spins up, gaze up. And begin to wrap the right arm around the lower back. As you lower the back knee, inhale, waving the left arm up. Gazing over the right shoulder. Leaning forward with the hips and leaning back with the upper torso, with the torso. Then finding our half splits. Bringing the toes toward the nose, letting the head hang. If you want a little something different, you can bring the hands on the outside of the leg and notice where you feel that on the IT band. And then we're going to kick it up into a standing splits. We experiment with balance here. Right hand on the leg. Maybe for just a second, you can take both hands to the right leg. And from here, we're going to open it up to a half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Coming to the right fingertips. See if you can just do 1 or 2 fingertips. The hips are stacked, flex to the left foot, left arm is up. Gaze ideally is toward the left fingertips, but I'm not quite there yet. But we just keep practicing. Okay, taking a deep curtsy bow here, left knee behind right. Getting a hold of the left foot with the right hand, twisted dancer. Remember those bandhas. Pelvic floor, lower belly, breath. Use them all. Twisted dancer. Reaching forward, extending the left arm, kicking into that back foot, or the back foot into the back hand. Letting go our standing splits once more, just as a transition to low runner's lunge, and then taking our vinyasa flow. High to low, elbows in. Up dog or cobra. To the downward facing dog. Left side. Inhale, lifting that left leg. Tucking, tapping left to left. Send it up, bring it through. Planted pivot. Warrior one. Deep Ujjayi breaths here. Bringing the hands to heart center, finding our Skandasana, that side lunge, right knee bends. And bringing it back to the top of the mat. Dragonfly twist, low runner's lunge with a twist, left arm up, right is down. Begin to wrap the left arm around, ground down through the right knee, right arm up. Grounded, reverse revolved arms. Gaze is past the left shoulder. Lean into it, that lower body. Find our half splits. Walking the hands on the outside if you like. Coming back through center. Kicking it up to standing splits. Finding our balance. Playing with it a little bit. And opening it up to half moon. Hips are stacked, right arm up, palm faces away. And here's where we took that little extra balance with a Shiva squat or curtsy bow, getting a hold of that back foot with the opposite hand, the left hand. Bandhas and breath. Twisted dancer. Kick back into it as you reach forward. And slowly let it go. Back to our standing splits. Low runner's lunge, vinyasa flow, which is downward facing dog. And then taking a child's pose the way that we started. We have one more shorter flow to go with some more balancing. And if you want a more restorative child's pose, bring the knees in and the arms to your sides, the fingertips pointing away from your body. Just a moment to reset and let that flow go, awaiting the opportunity for the next. Again, balancing our work, our effort with the rest, with the ease. And finding your way back to downward facing dog, tucking the toes. Inhale, right leg lifts, no tapping, just taking it through. Engage in the core again, and the pelvic floor, pushing off. Standing up and extending the left leg long. Hands at the waist or up high, or option to take a big toe bind for Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana. Lifting through the crown of the head, back is straight. Femur up, imagine pressing it up into the hip joint. And open up like a gate. I have to bend my knee, but you could take that big toe bind out to the side as well. And coming in for our tree, Vrksasana. Tucking the tailbone a bit, growing your tree branches however you like, hands to heart center. Taking the branches up. And lifting the left knee out in front, step it back. Warrior two, so there's balance going on in that transition too. Heel to arch, knee stacked over that right ankle, engaging the arms, energy through the fingertips, shoulder blades pressing in, tucking the tailbone, a little longer holds in this flow. And then over your next inhale, exhale, cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot. And taking a vinyasa, or just simply come back to downward facing dog, preparing for the left side. Left leg lifting, take it through. Set up for success here with our low runner's lunge. Lower belly in and up. Pelvic floor as well, push off. Come to standing. Extend the right leg. Again, toes toward the nose, pressing the heel out. Hands to the hips are up. Taking a big toe bind if you did so on the other side. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana, which just means extended big toe bind. And then opening up like a gate, keeping the big toe bind or just bending the knee. We're just setting up for the tree, and that right foot can come anywhere really, like a kickstand or above the knee, but just not on the knee. And then growing the branches of your tree, finding a drishti or focal point that's not moving. Using your breath. Another cycle of a breath here. And then inhale, right knee forward. Exhale, warrior two, Virabhadrasana B. And we're checking in a bit with our alignment, with an engagement of our arms. Gaze is just past those left fingertips. And over your next exhale, cartwheel the hands down. Chaturanga Dandasana or not, through the Vinyasa flow or downward facing dog. And then just take a hop through to seated. Extending the legs out long. We're coming into our finishing postures. Half heroes pose is where we're going. If this doesn't work for your knees, then just lie down and take a spinal twist with unstacked knees for a similar effect. So I'm going to roll over to my right hip a bit, and I'm going to tuck, bend at my left knee and tuck the rest of that leg behind me, and my left foot is on the outside of my hip. Take it out as far as you need to, and then kind of level off through the hips a bit. Oh, it's not going to be perfect, but you know, you don't want to be popped up like that. And so with Hero's Pose, we lie back. That may or may not be available to you. I mean, you can stop right here, just at the palms. If it works for you. So again, we work through the discomfort, but we should not feel pain. No owies in yoga. So coming to the forearms, or even all the way down. And if you're all the way down, you can take the arms up overhead. You can even grab opposite elbows. And then we begin to allow that Ujjayi, deeper, forceful breath to fade away, and trading it in for still a slow, deep breath, but not quite as intense. Try closing the eyes. Imagining melting further into the mat on the exhales. As we slow down, the mind starts to re-engage on a busier level. It never was disengaged, but we just calmed it down a bit. So it'll start to re-engage a little bit more intensely. So let's continue to use the breath to work into that busy space. So you can't create some space between the thoughts. And again, finding that balance. So a couple more cycles of breath in our half heroes. And then to come out of this, I find that I need to roll onto my right side so that I can untuck. And you can always pause too for a moment. It's good to pause when we're in a longer yin-like posture to allow things to settle. And when you have body parts that are bent for an extended period of time, that cuts off the blood flow, and then when you open it up, you come out of it, then there's kind of this flush of blood back to that space. Okay, and then you can either come back to seated and come into it the same way that we did on the other side, or you can just come into half heroes lying down as well. And I'm going to come onto my left hip a bit so that I can tuck my right knee under and my right foot back. And then again, I'm going to level off through the hips and take this slow. So come, and one side could be different than the other, as your knees may feel different from one side to the other. Coming to the palms behind you on the mat first. And then, if you're good with that, to the forearms. And slowly lowering all the way down. If that's available for you, bring the arms up overhead. Closing the eyes. See where you can soften, especially in through the face, the jaw. What are you holding on to? Relax through the cheeks, the forehead. You holding on and gripping anywhere in the back. Soften there. What about the extended left leg? Just let it go. And I didn't mention this on the other side, but there is an option here if you wanted to go deeper, to plant the other foot, whichever side you're on, the extended leg, you can plant that foot up by the other bent knee and just see what you feel there. Sometimes that takes it deeper. It definitely does for me. There's also an option to hug that left knee in, but that's provided that you can keep, both hips as they are on the mat. So always ways to modify our asanas and ways to go deeper. Do let your body be your guide. So let's slowly come out of that. Rolling over to your left side to untuck. And we're going to sit it back up. Just to take a forward fold for a few rounds of breath. So inhale, arms up, hinging from the waist, and just very gently fold it in half. Bending at the knees as needed, and just letting the head hang, and just let the hands fall to the mat. Ideally in yin postures, you would hold them 3 to 5 minutes each, which of course, since this is on video, you most certainly can do, but I'm only going to stay here for just a few more cycles of breath. Slowly begin to rise from our Paschimottanasana, planting the feet. And we're going to begin to lower one vertebrae at a time, that C-shaped curve, down to our final posture, our final asana of Shavasana. And you don't have to align Shavasana this way. You could do that butterfly shape, Supta Baddha Konasana, one hand on the heart, one hand on the belly. And the arms can be wide. It really is your practice. So yogi's choice here, but just find a place where you can lie still for just a short while and closing the eyes if that is comfortable for you. Just finding your sacred moment here. I'm going to invite you to start to make some very gentle movements, fingers and toes, but if you're not ready to come out of Shavasana, by all means, take it longer, as long as you like, up to 10 minutes even, however long you want. Truly is your practice, get what you need. So I'm going to come out of my Shavasana by making some larger movements now, taking a long body stretch. As if waking up from a nap, hugging the knees in, giving yourself some love, a warm embrace. Rolling up to seated Sukhasana, a meditative seat.